I want to go on to another one of my DEI series. Should be done to work for a minute, so if I get a call, I'll go ahead and shut it down. Let me see what are they talking about. Yeah, those are super old. This is an old router, that old Linksys router. Yeah, those are way too old. You're right about that. So, yeah. So, hopefully this sounds much, much better. Anyway, I want to talk about another one of the DEI scams. They had this program, and my second book I always talk about the diversity and inclusion Negro mascots. Now, in this situation, I was working for a marketing company in my younger years downtown. I wasn't there that long. It was a little bit too much subversion for me. So I ended up finding something better, and I started getting on the Windows 7 migrations, and I did that for a number of years, and I did pretty well. I was really doing my thing because I was, still having my hustles on the side, still reselling desktops and stuff like that when that was a thing, getting my desktops from Hammond, Indiana. And things was pretty cool. Things was all right. So what happened in this situation, you had a sister that was, there's two pieces of this. The first piece, there was a sister that was the head of the diversity and inclusion department. Now, she didn't seem like she was one of these buck dancing, butter biscuit bootleg type of Negro. She wasn't one of those types. She seemed like she was on code. That's what I got from it. I came into the HR one time. There was a couple different HR ladies in there. You had a couple Karens. At one point, they used to have, they'd have like a little kitchen, and you could come down there and you could make breakfast. And they had all these little perks because it was, it's a stressful job that they had. It's a marketing company. Everybody's on edge. And at one point, I used to just eat breakfast at home. And so then they started kind of, I don't know what kind of lightweight pressuring me a little bit. This was my first experience in the quote unquote liberal limousine. And so, a lot of them environments are like that, especially downtown Minneapolis. But in this case, I was down there not long at all because I got up out of there, but not long at all. The sister, I came in to get some breakfast because they're like, hey, you should start talking to people more and, doing all that stuff they typically do. If you're not talking enough, then, you need to talk more. So I called myself trying to go down there, make me some Cheerios or something like that. And, I would get my orange juice and that would be my little regiment. I probably should have just had some water. But so this Karen from HR comes up to me, bothering me, saying something about how much cereal I'm taking or whatever. It was a normal little bowl. I didn't even fill it up. You know what I'm saying? So she got to the point where she's bothering me about the cereal. So after a while I said, okay, I'm thinking in my mind, this feels like a setup because I could eat at home. I don't need your cereal. But since you insist, I'll share the festivities. I'll kind of talk and from the day I got there, it was crazy. So, I'm one of the few brothers there. They had a couple token Negroes too. I think it was two dudes that were twins. There were some light skinned dudes. So they fit right in. They were mixed. You know what I'm saying? They fit right into the, they just had that. You could kind of tell that they grew up with their white mom. You could just kind of tell that. You could tell they ain't really grow up with their dad all like that. So they fit right in. They didn't bother them because, they were kind of like the tokens. So they were like the perfect mascot. So they didn't really bother them. So I was like one of the few full-fledged, like, you know what I'm saying, up in there. So I said, she was saying something about the cereal or something. So I said, okay, I ain't gonna go down there no more. I'll just go to my desk. So then she comes up talking about, well, you haven't been down in the breakfast place or whatever. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to play these games. I was like, well, ma'am, I ate already. I ate already at home and stuff like that. So then I'm collecting I'm getting some direct deposit information or some benefits like the first week or whatever the case. And I meet assisted the diversity and inclusion officer. And I didn't really even have to say nothing to her. She pulls me off to the side and she's like, man, these race soldiers crazy up in here. They just hired me. I ain't been here long because I thought she'd been there a long time. She said, well, they hired me because they have a racial problem. Do tell. So I'm talking to her. She's kind of hipping me to hey, watch out for this, watch out for her, watch out for this person, watch out. So she's kind of giving me the lay of the land. She's giving me the lay of the yard. I'm stepping into this prison yard. You watch out for them, watch out for them. Okay, so now, eventually, as I start coming to the HR office, sometimes I had to deploy equipment there. I'm talking to the sister more and more, and she's giving me more and more information about the stuff. She was like, man, I'm about to move around. I was like, damn, you ain't been here that long. She said, man, these folks, she said, basically they try to put me as a mascot. And that's where I got that term from. She said, they think I'm going to be a mascot and do all this extra tap dancing. She said, they put me in as a buffer. So when something goes on in terms of somebody that's black or for somebody that's non-black that's having issues with some of the suspected race soldiers in the environment, they bring me in there to kind of smooth it out and, give them the butter biscuit talk. She told me this. So I'm like, okay. So, all right. I said, all right, cool. So I meet this sister from Chicago and I'm not blind. I mean, she's fine as hell. Meet her. We talking. She's sitting by this little desk, but she ain't got no computer. It's just like she got her little notebook or something like that. She's bad. And I when I started talking to her, I could kind of tell she was from Chicago. She didn't have like a heavy accent, but I just knew right off just by the energy when I was walking through there. I just said hello because I don't really see a lot of us up in there. And she said, yeah, I'm fresh. She was like fresh from Chicago. She had, degrees upon degrees, qualified as hell, smart, had her little glasses and stuff. So I speak to her and stuff like that. And, I see her again. Every time I walk past her desk and I'm getting ready to work, I make it my business to holler at her and let her know, you still got some real ones around here. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just on some Freeman shit. So she breaks it down. She said, yeah, man, I got my degree. They had me move up here to Minnesota. I didn't really know nobody like that. I met a few people or whatever the case may be. And she's like, man, I'm supposed to be doing this, that, and the third. She got hired on for like a high paying position or whatever. So only the first couple weeks, I think maybe they didn't see her. Maybe because I don't know if Zoom and Teams, there was remote interviews, but at that time people would still, do interviews over the phone and stuff like that. So when she came down here, I don't know if they seen her face or whatever, but they started having her train a young Becky. The girl wasn't no more than maybe 19 years old, didn't know a damn thing. She was like an intern or something, like didn't know shit. The sister was qualified up to yin yang. She said, man, yeah, they got me, her training me in. The Becky, she was cool with her. She basically talked to the sister and says, hey, what did they hire you for? She told him, she said, oh, well, that's the job I'm going to be doing. And so the sister was like, they're training you. You're new and they're training you to train me in. And the sister was like, man, as I seen her day for day, I felt it was like heartbreaking. I seen her day for day. I could see her energy. She was just kind of like, man, F this place. She was really, really pissed about that. She was hot. And she was like, what's going on your end? And I'm like, it ain't too much different. I'm not training nobody in or whatever, but this environment is very, very hostile. Now, this is supposed to be, again, your so-called Democratic, liberal, left, right wing, same bird, whatever. But this is supposed to be your so-called liberal, democratic, safe, inclusive environment with all these DEI laws and policies and stuff like that. And that's going on. And she got to the point where, she kind of gave me a little bit of her backstory. And, this sister was very, very sophisticated. I sat down one time during lunch and I was just talking to her and I was like, man, I could kind of tell, and she's from Chicago. So she was like, she told me, she said, I'm not she said, I'm not your average chick from Chicago. She said, I'm not what the stereotype folks in Minnesota think. She said, I come from a 2-parent household. My folks got some paper. You know what I'm saying? She was like, it was like some Huxtable stuff, but she wasn't, but you could tell that she wasn't no Sambo. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't no, you know what I'm saying? And, she wasn't real like stuck up, but she was smart. You know what I'm saying? And, that's what she said. That maybe they thought that when they hired me, I was going to be just all extra bubbly and this kind of stuff going on. So, while she's breaking this down to me and stuff like that, and I'm just like, damn. And so every time I see the little white girl, she's kind of trailing her around and stuff like that and just paying attention to everything. And she still ain't got her laptop, man. It's 3 weeks in. She still ain't got her laptop. And so, I start kind of inquiring, like, are we going to deploy her laptop or whatever? And they're like, oh, well, that's on back order and all that like that. And Becky gets a laptop. So the sister ain't got no credentials. She ain't got her laptop. You done hired her for this position. You can't say that she's not performing because she hasn't even had a chance to do so. So, yeah, it was one of those kind of situations. And, up on my floor, on like the second floor, the third floor, or whatever, I'd be in the, I had such a bad taste in my mouth. Like I say, I just figured I just go get a contract. So I started contracting, and that's how I really made my bones. I started really, really making my bones contracting my first couple of years just right out the gate. Because around that time, when I came into the game, you're looking at, I mean, really, really professionally, I would say 2008, 2009, like this was around maybe 2012 or something, so you kind of get your bones, I had an internship first, and then I took a 4-month contract. Then I opened up my own business. I got sick of corporate within 4 months. I found out I was diabetic and I was just out of my mind, into 2008. I made a bunch of orders with my desktop, started flipping those, man. Went and got me a Bonneville. I talked about that Bonneville in my first book. Got a Bonneville from Big Rob, and I need to call Big Rob. Matter of fact, see how he's doing. I ain't talked to him. And then I went and got me a Tudo, and I just kept it pushing. And I went and opened the business. Went and signed a lease on 34 for Minnehaha with you know what I'm saying. So I had 2 buddies. We all put our monies together and we just opened up a store and signed a commercial lease. Did that for about a year. Went back and worked at a company. I won't say what the name of the company is, but worked at a company, started learning more SCCM and stuff like that. And then I started kind of riding the Windows 7 wave. But yeah, I got to see DEI, diversity and inclusion. You diverted the job away from the sister and included Becky in order for her to get the position. And like I say, it was and another thing too, she was kind of being hated on too. That's another thing. Because she was so fly looking, she looked better than 97% of the women in there. She looked better than them, so they was kind of hating on her about that too. She'd be getting dirty looks and all kind of stuff she'd be telling me. She'd be like, man, look what they doing now. I'm like, man, I said, you still here? She'd be like, yeah. She said, I'm about to head back to Chicago. She told me, I'm about to head back to Chicago. She said, if I was staying here, a little later or whatever, she said, I'd be trying to holler at you. That's the thing about Chicago women. They know what they want. So she was kind of like, like if I stayed here, she said, I'd be trying to holler at you if I could. That's what she was kind of on. She said, but this environment, this passive aggressive Minnesota shit, she said, no, I'd rather go back home. She didn't want to stay in Chicago. I think she wanted to come here for like a higher paying job. Some people will come to the U of M and then they'll make their bones to get the hell out of here because the social aspect of working, especially a black person that comes from New York, Chicago, California, whatever, y'all ain't gonna like it. If you ain't born here, you just ain't gonna like it. If you come from Chicago and then you come here to stay and you ain't got other folks or family from around the social environment, when you get, especially when you get in them buildings downtown in them corporate environments, the passive aggression is so, see, people in Chicago ain't passive aggressive. You kind of meet them where they at. They don't really hide stuff. So ain't no in between. It's either good or bad. Ain't no in between. Here, it's a big gray area. So you really don't know where folks is coming from and stuff. It ain't like that in Illinois. In my experience dealing with folks from there, that's not how they get down. It's either left or right. Ain't a whole lot of gray area. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to think and wonder where they stand. You see what I'm saying? And so, I just think it was an environment that, she wouldn't find herself to thrive in when you start withholding laptops and stuff, but yet another case of the diversity and including scam / policy that's now quote unquote being dismantled, as they say. All right, y'all. We're going to have more to come.